And that is what you call demolition. That game that just happened today, I wish I could play the theme song of the tag team Demolition from the WWF from the 80s. That would be perfect. Probably can't for copyright reasons, so I'm not even going to try, but that was a demolishment. The Fever demolished the Sky today. 35-point blowout. That was it was a little bit choppy for the Indiana at times, but they came through and, like I said, just really, really knocked the Chicago Sky out. Obviously, Chicago was a very willing participant in this blowout. They definitely did their part to not score very many points and to give up a lot of points, which we'll get into in a moment. But this is the first game of the season. That's the way to open it up for them. They did a great job, and they got a lot of contributors across the board and people who will contribute a lot more in the future. Obviously, we'll start with Caitlin Clark. She's the reason a lot of us are even paying attention to this in the first place, even though we've fallen in love with other people on the team, and looks like now we got some more people to fall in love with. But triple double. Started off the season with one. Now our third career triple double, tied for the most ever in just her first game of her second season. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. Uh, yeah, she stat padded at the end there to get that one last rebound. We kept her in there to get that, but I mean, 20, 10, and 9 is still pretty good. So um, if you want to take that away from her, that's fine. I mean, if she's trying to do that for the home team, home crowd, I should say, give them something to remember and cheer about. Hey, good for her. Aaliyah Boston, what a beast she was. Had kind of a rough first quarter, missed some easy layups, but then the second, third, and fourth quarter, she was amazing. 19 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocks, which I think she got more than that, but one of them they took away for some reason. But she's never going to get a good officiating deal, it seems like, which, again, I'll get into that in a second, too. Kelsey Mitchell was the star of the first quarter, and she was there for the rest of the game, too. It's just everybody else finally kind of joined the party, didn't they, Loki? Yeah, Loki's trying to tell you. Um, Everybody else joined the party. She's the one who really kept them up and above water in that first quarter. She did an amazing job, sunk some threes. Had another one of those crazy flying to the rim layups, reminiscent of Allen Iverson, I gotta say. Reminiscent, I'm not trying to compare the two, but it just kind of reminds me of her being undersized and just flying to the rim. Got to give her a lot of credit for that. Very happy to have her. And Natasha Howard, our new pickup. What a pickup she is. She had, I think, 15 points and 5 rebounds. It felt like a lot more than that. She really impacted the game a lot more than her stats show. I would call her the Bizarro Angel Reese for that reason, which again I'll get into. But the stats didn't quite tell the story. She did a very good job. She seemed to really already be in sync with Caitlin Clark a lot. Some of the cuts to the basket. I feel like she did a really good job on the defensive end as well. Like I said, very pleased to have her there. Going from Nelissa Smith to Natasha Howard, that's an upgrade. That's got to be one of the best upgrades we've seen in a long, long time. So very, very happy for her to be very happy to have her there. I also picked up Dewana Bonner. I know her stat sheet's not going to show much. She kind of struggled shooting today, but she showed that she can also be a big time contributor, whether the stat sheet shows it or not. She moved into third place in the all time points list of the WNBA. Congratulations to her on that. Um, she still seemed in sync with the offense. She just her shots weren't going down, and I think she's going to be just okay. Probably some nerves for the first time on the team, even though she's been around forever. Nerves about getting that to third place. In front of the Indiana crowd that's going to cheer for her like they did. I was glad to see they cheered for her like that. Um, just a super, super job by them, by the crowd. I mean, they showed up, they were in full force. And so very excited about Natasha and Dewana Bonner. I feel like Sydney Colson gave some very solid minutes off the bench. I think she played 13 minutes. Again, stat sheet's not going to say much, but she was there, causing trouble on defense and, taking up space on offense as well. And I mean that in a good way, helping spread the floor and everything. I feel like Indiana really knocked it out of the park in the off season with all of that. So, like 35 points at the end of the day. Stephanie White, I thought that was very good. Very good lineup she put out there in the game at different times. It seemed like there's never a weak point. Compare that to some of the lineups Christy Sides would throw out there last year. Wow. Completely different team, it seems like. Caitlin Clark's only going to get better. Now she has more and more teammates at her disposal. She might have some games where she doesn't really light up the scoreboard much because she won't need to, but she'll definitely be the one facilitating, controlling the game, controlling the action. Like I said, she's as good as ever. She's bulked up quite a bit, which is a good thing. Maybe they'll stop pushing around so much. Maybe she'll do some of the pushing, which she did not do today, which some people claim she did. But like I said, it was a very good team win. Like I said, it was a win. It was a blowout. It was a demolition. As for Chicago, Angel Reese once again fills up the stat sheet and just seems to hurt the team so much out there. When she's the focal point of the offense, and grabbing rebounds, which she's very good at, but then chucking it right back to almost bouncing off the backboard back to herself. Still missing layups at point blank range. What was she doing off season? I know she played unrivaled, and apparently she was the defensive player of the year, which is funny because she absolutely did not show up on defense. Caitlin Clark, by the way, had 4 blocks and 2 steals. I don't know if Angel had anything or not, but didn't feel like it. Angel, same thing as last year, missing open layups, and like I said, putting up those pretty numbers, but it just doesn't feel like it. They'd be like halfway through the game, like, wow, that's her 12th rebound. She has, 8 or 9 points. I'm like, when did she score? I know that she hit a 3-pointer, which kind of shocked me, but just what was she doing off season? Where was she? Did she use Unrivaled to better her game, or has she been too busy doing social media stuff? And that's a fair question you got to ask. Caitlin Clark kept a very low profile, and she's already improving. She's improved on the defensive end of the floor for sure. Like I said, you can tell visibly it's a big search apparently comparing her the muscles on her arms to last year and how she's had to improve her physique. Kind of reminds me of Michael Jordan. After the beating he took all those years from the Pistons, he finally was able to bulk up and be able to absorb the contact. And it'd be interesting to see if she has the same results of not wearing down throughout the season, getting her legs fresh and showing some new stuff. That fadeaway, she hit a step back fadeaway mid range that I'm telling you, if she can get that good, she'll be tough to stop. Very early in the game, she hit a logo 3-point bomb. So some of the old, some of the new, whereas with Angel Reese, it's all the old. And to throw on top of that, her complete lack of emotional control. So about midway through the third, she catches a rebound. Caitlin Clark tries to knock the ball out of her hands and keep her from scoring. I don't even say it as a hard foul. Maybe I'm being biased. Maybe I'm not seeing something. The announcers kept saying, yeah, they got to upgrade that to a flagrant, which, of course, I think the reason they're saying that is because Angel lost her mind after the play. She's all over the place mentally. She needs to get help. That's all there is to it. Somebody needs to help her out and get her what she needs. They said that Caitlin shoved her after, swiping at the ball and catching Angel's hands or arms, and I just didn't see that. So I don't know what they're talking about. But Angel fell down. She is very uncoordinated, and she jumped up and was just immediately trying to jaw at Caitlin. Caitlin just turned around and calmly walked back to her bench, while Angel was just losing her mind and having to be held back by Aaliyah Boston. And they got dueling technical fouls, which I don't understand. Aaliyah Boston did nothing wrong. She held Angel back and just was trying to talk her down, trying to keep her out of a fight. Is that not what they want? Shouldn't that be what they want? So I hope the league rescinds that one. Like I said, Angel, I don't know why she reacted like that to that play. You look at the stuff that Chicago did to Caitlin Clark last year, the hip check from Kennedy Carter, who's not on the team anymore. Angel Reese whacking her in the head, Caitlin Clark in the head, which I still think is intentional. If she's that uncoordinated to miss the ball that badly, she's either really bad, which she's not nearly as good as they say she is, or at least the media wants you to say. I think everybody else has kind of figured that out as well. And I don't know why, after Caitlin, and of course the Diamond Shields play where she just tackled her. Every time Caitlin just stood up, didn't try to confront anybody, and dusted herself off like a pro, and went back at it. Just calmly shot her free throws and went on about her business. Angel wasn't even a hard foul, falls down and wants to make a big scene about it. So Chicago's gonna have a tough year. They cannot run this team through Angel Reese. They cannot make her the star. They definitely need to put Camila Cardosa. I know she had a bad game, but I mean, like I said, she's not. They're still not featuring her like they need to. I don't think this new coach is what they need. And I mean, you lose by 35 points, you've done something wrong. You've done a lot of stuff wrong. And as much as Indiana did right, I mean, they just never, from that technical forward, the announcer said it'll be interesting to see how the game goes. After plays like this, games have a tendency to turn one way or the other, and Chicago they weren't doing good all night anyways, and they really fell apart from there. And Indiana just went on a killer run to end the game. And it's just, you're only as good as as the focal point of your team, and the focal point for Chicago is Angel Reese, and she's not a star. She's just not capable. She's a role player at best, and like I said, a generational talent in rebounding and pretty much nothing else. Still just missing, wide open shot after wide open shot. And like I said, she puts up pretty stats, but you watch the games and you're like, she's hurting the team more than she's helping them. So until they really take the ball out of her hands and just tell her, camp out under there, get the rebound. If it's an offensive rebound, kick it out. If it's a defensive rebound, kick it out. Just run from end to end, camp under the basket to the best you can without getting a 3-second violation, and do your rebounding. But that just shows the difference between Caitlin and Angel. Angel's not ready for the spotlight. She can't handle it. She's very emotionally unstable when it comes to that. And Caitlin Clark keeps her cool. Just she just turned around and walked off. And that was the good thing. She let Angel make a fool of herself. Now, of course, they gave Caitlin a flagrant foul for that, which is about the stupidest thing. That was just them trying to appease Angel. They're trying to protect her right now because, I mean, she's one of the big drawing points of this league other than Caitlin Clark. Now, Caitlin Clark's like 99% of the deal. The other 1% they're trying to figure out. Asia's not going to be it. I love how Nike, who has ignored Caitlin, had their big for the signature shoe for Asia, first commercial break on the first game for Caitlin Clark. They're airing that, and I'm like, why don't you just shove into Caitlin's face that you paid her all this money to kind of ignore her? I didn't really see her in any commercials throughout the game, which is pretty interesting, but that's just going to help her mystique grow. So good for her, good for the Fever, very happy for them, very happy for the future. And if you're a fan of Chicago, I hate it for you, but kind of me as a Panthers fan, I guess. It's going to be a rough go of it until they finally get the ball out of Angel Reese's hands, and until she finally understands she's not all that, and she is a role player at best, if she's ever going to be a part of a winner. These double-doubles, that might not be the only thing that's doubled up. They may very well once again end up with a double-digit seeding at the end of the year and miss the playoffs. 8 teams make it in a 13-team league, and they're probably going to miss it for a second year in a row. It was only 12 teams last year, so congrats to the Fever. Chicago needs to get their stuff together. Angel's got to figure out what the heck she's doing. So thank you guys. Try to do one of these after every game, and talk to you later. And if you have any thoughts in the comments, let me know. Take care.